What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today we're going to talk about the top 5 squeeze stocks to add to your watch list for this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all that, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So starting off with data points, there's only 2 things coming out this upcoming week that you kind of need to watch for. But I really like weeks like this because it is going to be dependent on technicals. So starting off Wednesday and Friday. So Friday there's non-farm payroll, and then Wednesday there's ADP non-farm employment. So 2 very big indicators linked to consumers, but over the last year and a half, despite higher interest rates, data points for those have been fairly solid. So there's nothing to really interpret some negativity coming from this week. So I feel like bigger and better things might be coming right around the corner, especially with fear and greed index at 77. You are going to see the market naturally propelling a lot of stocks higher. And so for instance, over the last several weeks, shorts have felt the pain. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed that majority of your portfolios have gone up dramatically. And that could once again continue, especially with the positive momentum for this upcoming week. So starting off with some stocks, I'm going to go over 5, not in any particular order, but I'm going to talk on why I feel that each has their own likelihood of a squeeze. And before I get into those, I just wanted to bring this up. So these are the companies unveiling their earnings for this upcoming week. A couple big players in specific sectors such as Neo. There's also Target. Walmart hit a home run, so it is fair to assume that Target might as well. ChargePoint and many others. But getting right to it though, first one is ticker HOLO, so MicroCloud. I have done dedicated videos on this company under this channel, so if you're curious, definitely take a look, especially when this was at exactly, I think it was $58 when I did my video. I said it was going to go down to roughly about the $6 to $10 range, and look at exactly where it is. But beside the point, on Friday it went down 7.11% over 2024, up 154.16%, and so far over the last 1 year down 57.25%. But for this upcoming week, there isn't anything planned from what I can see dedicated to this company itself. It would be more so piggybacking off of the broader market's optimism and combined with just an overextension of shorts. And so that's how you can get a fairly good squeeze. So on Friday, shorts did return a measly 237 shares. That is it. Then again, with this company, it does have a relatively low float, but 65.19% of the free float is being shorted. It is still on the threshold list. 619,000 shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 394.76%. Just want to draw your attention to the shares on loan. It does indicate that 1.04 million shares are on loan. So let's go over here for a second. So the overview, it does show the shares outstanding than the free float. So the free float is only about 950,000. So logically, there is more shares on loan than there is physically on the free float. So something doesn't add up there. But moving on to the next stock, Manchester United. So ticker is MANU. On Friday, it went down 2.43%. Year to date, so 2024, down 27.23%. And over the last 1 year, down 27.48%. This stock has traded within range, so it's not the biggest growth stock. But because of some of the recent news caused and resulted in a sell-off, I feel like that did make things very interesting. Analysts oddly really do like this company as well, so that's kind of a strong positive, and it's a fairly large market cap and it does have a lot of volume, so that's kind of a strong positive. But it is the data points. So right now 57.58% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 6.71 million shares overall are being shorted. On Friday, shorts didn't do all that much, so they increased around 3,000 shares. But cost to borrow average is 13.8%. And I just wanted to draw your attention to the shares on loan. So 5.5 million shares on loan, but yet the short interest is 6.71 million. Very apparent that there is naked shorting that is happening. So definitely something to kind of consider. I've always really looked at Manchester United as far as just like kind of physically watching the game or the stock itself, but I've never really committed and invested because I didn't see the point in it. But with it potentially being a squeeze play and the discount, you never know, it might incentivize some people to get in. Aside from that though, with it at $14.83, it is exactly on this S1. So 1321 is going to be a very strong support, and vice versa, 1745 is going to be the next strong resistance. We'll just have to wait and see what does happen on Monday, whether it does break above that or below that, but 1483 is going to be a very strong pivot point for that. So let me know your thoughts about Manchester United. Moving on, I do cover this stock under this channel as well. SoundHound, ticker's SOUN. And so on Friday, it got massacred, down 18.67% as a result of their earnings. I do feel to some regard that it was more of an overreaction, but I think people are concerned as far as liquidity and just dilution in the foreseeable future. Over the last 1 year, it is up 114%. In 2024, up 184%. So of course, there's going to be certain levels of profit taking as well that does occur. If you're curious on what they do, so you can pause it, read through it, do what you need to do. And also on a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good information all in one location, just to better your investing, take a look at Seeking Alpha for a 7-day free trial. Has everything that you need: press releases, SEC filings, transcripts from previous earnings, fireside chats, everything. And if you're ever curious on a company, if they've done a reverse stock split in the past and you want to avoid them, you can easily do so. So SoundHound has never done a reverse stock split. But again, if you're looking for all that, link in the description below and also the comments. So right now it is on the threshold list. 17.02% of the free float is being shorted. 35.85 million shares overall are being shorted. On Friday, shorts did increase about 414,000 shares, piggybacking off of the negativity from their earnings. Somewhat negative, take that with a grain of salt, but cost to borrow average is 33.68% and utilization is 94.88%. If you are looking at trading this mark right here, so this pivot point of $5.65, that was the saving grace for today. So it bounced off of that, so we do know that's a very strong support, but very wide gap among all the fib levels. So ultimately anticipate a lot of volatility. But again, you can make a lot of money essentially with volatility. And aside from that, if the market is really propelling stocks higher, SoundHound is going to benefit from that. So some points to watch for: 805 is going to be the next strong resistance, and above that is going to be 954 and then 1194. So let me know your thoughts on that. Stock number 4, it is Bowlero, ticker's BOWL. On Friday, it did have a fairly nice day, up 5.94%. Over the last 1 year, down 13.39%, and in 2024 it is down 6.85%. I know I have covered this company quite a lot under this channel, so I don't think you need any introduction, but if you do, here it is. And when it comes down to the data points, so on Friday, shorts returned about 13.4 thousand shares, and then 78.43% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be 16.96 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 18.81%, and utilization is 90.83%. And looking through Interactive Broker, short availability does indicate around 150,000 shares is available. I know I didn't really bring that up for each stock, but in many of the cases, shorts are somewhat overextended. And plus, I think it's more so common knowledge if a company is on the threshold list, there's not that many shares available. So it kind of goes hand in hand with majority of them. But if you are trading or wanting to trade Bowlero with it at $13.19, it is between this pivot and this R1. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, it is doing rather well. 1288 is going to be the next strong support, and then 1469 is going to be the next strong resistance. Similar to the other companies I did mention, very wide gap among the fib levels, so just anticipate a lot of volatility. But in the past, this company has shown it does have the strength and institutional backing to really go higher. So that again could really stand to benefit for this upcoming week. And then finally, the 5th stock that I do want to talk on, it's more of an interesting one, and I don't think anyone will guess it, but it has to do with their upcoming earnings, and that is ding ding ding, good old NIO. So NIO, especially under my other channel, Financial Journey, I cover a lot of EVs, one of which is even NIO. So based on a discount value, I can honestly say NIO is the most discounted EV out there. And there's a couple of different attributing factors. They've gone through some dilution recently over the last quarter, and plus just the Chinese aspect of them has just caused so much pain. And they actually produce a ton of vehicles. So I think in reality with their upcoming earnings, there could be a very positive surprise that does come out. and thus resulting in maybe a short squeeze. Not a epic mother of all short squeezes, but maybe a small one. I know, we'll just have to wait and see. As far as what they did on Friday, went up 0.52% over the last 1 year, down 34.54%, and year to date it is down 36.27%. So it has been quite heavily slaughtered. And over and above this, if you are curious on what NIO does, you can always pause it, read through it. And I just wanted to point this out. Seeking Alpha has started to do this. Technically, we are in March, so this does show the seasonality of NIO in the past 5 years. So it does look like June and July, historically at least, have been very good, months to invest. So once again, something to consider. Doesn't mean the fact that it is on a consensus down 18.03% doesn't mean jack all. But I guess if you factor in what I just mentioned, they are down 24%. So who knows, maybe they've already factored that in. Aside from all that, getting back to it. So looking here, 11.93% of the free float is being shorted, which works out to be 164.07 million shares being shorted. And on Friday, shorts did return 1.47 million shares, and cost to borrow average is 1.63%. And this is very apparent that there is some manipulation that is happening behind the scenes with NIO, because cost to borrow minimum is negative 1.11%. So meaning there is a broker out there physically paying people to short NIO. And so that's something very specific to this. Like I said, it has been very discounted, and maybe because of the Chinese aspect, people want to bring NIO down. I'm not really sure. That's a little bit probably too far-fetched and speculative, I guess. But with a lot of the other companies I mentioned that all are being heavily shorted, none of them have a cost to borrow minimum. So it definitely makes NIO stand out somewhat. If you're looking at trading NIO though, with it at $5.78, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot right below this pivot point right here. So 540 is a very strong support that you'll want to watch for it to hold going into this upcoming week. And then vice versa, $6.19 is going to be that next strong resistance level. And aside from all of that though, if there is a pretty good squeeze, you could see realistically back into the $7 range. That's just my own interpretation, of course, and that's assuming they do have good earnings. Very much dependent on that, because other EVs such as Lucid and Rivian didn't have that good of earnings about future guidance. Polestar, they kind of moved their earnings to this upcoming week, but they kind of alluded to fairly good earnings. So we'll just once again have to wait until NIO unveils their earnings. So let me know your thoughts on my top 5 picks. Is there any others that you would swap out, and potentially why? One final thing I just wanted to share with you, definitely take advantage of this promo. It has been extended, in fact. Simply sign up for an account with MoonWith for $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, so take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.